Infinity Nerd Store presents.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. And it looks like today we're going to do a Metroid Retrospective. I brought my buddy C. Lowspec.
How's it going, guys?
And as I said in my video when I did the unboxing of the Metroid Dread Special Edition, I said I would do a retrospective. So here we are today. I hope it doesn't look too cluttered for you guys, but Metroid has a lot of games for it. So the only one I think we're missing is probably Metroid Prime 3 for the Wii, which I do have in this collector's tin that has all three. But other than that, everything you see here is pretty much every game that's been released, to my knowledge. So Silos, what memories do you have of Metroid?
I have a lot of fond, great memories of nothing but happiness in my childhood. And one of these games, which is the first Metroid,
The original Metroid?
was the one that made me a fan.
Yeah, so the original Metroid, it's one of those purchases, like I told you, my dad would see a cover and it was like sold immediately on the game, right? So he had purchased that one and I was like, you know, I put the game in and I'm like, what am I in for? You know, and I had no idea that the game was so massive for an NES title. But I did have the first issue of Nintendo Power, which has an entire map to kind of show you where everything's at. And I did use that quite a bit to get through the game.
Yes. What were your thoughts about this game growing up?
I love the game. I thought it was cool when you actually found out that Samus was a female, right? So kind of showed that. Justin Bailey, you had that code you can put in where you would end up with the various suit, a couple other weapons, where you were already upgraded, so you didn't have to really upgrade. Just the beginning, the music at the start screen, the music at the first, like as soon as you start the game, it just all went well together.
Yes.
Like you knew you were in for an adventure, but you had no idea how massive, like I said, the game would be. So many secret points, walls that you could bomb yourself through once you did get the bomb upgrade. I mean, there's so much going on in the game.
It was hard for me back then to try to beat this game. But what I liked about this game is that you could actually, you know, like for example, Mario, it was just a right-based game.
That's right. Yeah, just mainly right.
Yeah.
Only, yeah.
But on this game was actually
You could go back, forth.
on the left side.
Yeah, and this game you had to go back. You had to backtrack a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. There's points where you have to go. You can go pretty far, but then you have to backtrack all the way to get to another stage. You know that you couldn't access because you didn't have the upgrades yet.
Correct. So Billy, as you mentioned that you used the map from Nintendo Power issue number 1, how to beat this game, but actually there is another magazine, which is the official guide. Nintendo Player's Guide. Whenever you are in depth review of Metroid, they tell you how to play the game. And so if you guys look at this, it shows you the enemies, it will show you the type of weapons, but also you see the enemies, right? So the most important aspect for me utilizing this magazine as a child was that they actually have in-depth maps.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, that game was so vast.
It was not easy. And
I don't know if it was like the limitations of the NES at the time, but a lot of areas almost look the same.
Yes.
So you start getting kind of lost, right? And the only thing they may have changed was like the enemies in there. So you're like, oh, okay, wait, I'm not in that same spot. I'm in a different spot. But you really have to remember where you're going in the game.
Yes. Right?
So it was a very, very big game to go through. But it was enjoyable.
It was.
It was, yeah. Once you actually got through it, and then when you finally get to the last area, and there you are, you know, you're running, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a Metroid, like everything that we've been talking about. Now they're there. Now you're like, oh my god, you know, like it kind of gets you on edge because like you have to hurry up and freeze them and then either keep going or go ahead and destroy them with your missiles, right?
Yes.
But it was always like, I like now I know where they're at. But when I was young and first going through there, I was like, oh my god, and then it's like taking all your life. You're trying to bomb yourself out of it, you're freaking out, right? So it was like you were on the edge of your seat trying to get there, and then you get to the last small area to get to Mother Brain
Yes.
and all these little, things that are coming at you
Yes.
to hit you. That's what I'm saying. The game overall is amazing.
You guys gotta
Yeah.
play it, and it is something that it will take you a long time to beat. But you mentioned on your previous video that on the manual, it tells you it's a hymn.
Yes, the whole time it says him. If you don't have a copy of the game, you could look it up online. They actually have people that have scanned in copies of the manual,
Mhm.
and you can see where the story it's constantly saying him, or he, and then you get to the end and you find out it's if you're able to beat it in the right amount of time, you find out it's Samus is a woman.
Yes. And
Or you put in Justin Bailey and you're like, whoa, she is,
Mhm.
now she's a woman, and it was kind of cool to see that a female-led video game that nobody had any idea at first.
I was surprised when I found out, and I was like, wow, what a great game. So that's just my thoughts about that game.
Yeah, and if you see, there was a few different versions. We have the original silver cover version, and then they did come out with the yellow copy later.
Correct.
And then they also had
Game Boy Advance re-release.
Yeah, when the Game Boy Advance did a lot of re-releases of original NES games, that was included as well. So then, moving forward, Metroid II on the Game Boy had come out, and that's one that I honestly wasn't able to get my hands on.
This game, I love this game, and I will never forget this game. And this is something that out of the whole collection, this is going to be my favorite game.
Now, I have played it. I believe it was available on the Wii Store.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that hurt me with that game was the fact that because everything is limited to black and white, right? For the Game Boy, you get lost really easy. Well, I got lost really easy trying to play it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I still liked the game. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was just I'd get to some points where I'm like, I have no idea where I'm at because almost everything looks the same.
My brother beat it the old-fashioned way. Go to every aspect of every area.
Yeah, to find everything, right?
We did it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
It took many hours to beat, but it was worth it in the end. Metroid 2 is one of the best games that out of the whole series for me that I will never forget. So this game, you have to kill Metroids, and so it counts down the Metroids. I think it starts with 30 Metroids that you have to beat.
Yeah, because I guess from whatever happened in the first game, now she's trying to track down and destroy all Metroids.
Yes, and the last boss of this game is called Set of Metroid.
Now, at the end of this game, is that when she finds the hatchling that
Yes.
thinks that it's like she's mom?
Yes,
right? Okay.
and that's when we're gonna go into the Super Metroid, because that's the next
Yes.
game.
Yeah, so
in
Super
line.
Metroid, man. One of my favorite Super Nintendo games. They made it very science fiction, very dark and brooding, right?
Mhm.
Like even the intro. I mean, that whole game. Now they added a map system, which would help you along your journey because it was a huge map.
Yes, because
Um,
Metroid 1 and Metroid 2 did not have map system.
Yeah. In this game, at the beginning, she ends up fighting Ridley,
Mhm.
right? And then she loses all her power-ups. So now, throughout the game, now you're trying to get all your power-ups again.
Yeah, it's like the ice beam.
Yeah.
And
So
the
she
wind
loses
beam.
everything and then has to go back and get everything again.
The morph ball again.
The morph ball, yeah. All of those items, upgraded graphics. So much going on in that game. I mean, even just the beginning, watching, the ship come down,
Mhm.
and then she comes out, and it's like, wow, here we go. And it's a whole vast world. I mean, everything about that game was way better than the original.
Yes, I agree with that. But for this game, it's perfection.
Yeah, there's
There's no
nothing-
flaw on that game.
No,
at
there's
all.
none. There's none.
Not that I could think about. What do you
Yeah.
think?
No, there's none. In the beginning of it too, she tells you the story about how she found the hatchling. She turns it over to the Federation, and as soon as she leaves, she's getting a distress signal to come back, and she comes back, and then that's when she finds the location she goes to, all the scientists, everybody's done, right?
Mhm.
And then she finds Ridley, who's taking the hatchling. You fight Ridley, he leaves, and then now you have to hurry up and get out. Now you're going to the nearest planet where Ridley stopped at, and then that's where the whole adventure begins.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this game is a game that I will never forget because when you first start,
Mm-hmm.
there's an introduction that someone is speaking to you. So Billy, do you remember the beginning of the game when you push start?
Oh, right before the game starts,
Yeah.
it actually speaks.
And audio.
Yeah, it says, the last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
And then it kind of goes.
My jaw dropped.
Yeah, because you didn't have a lot of games that actually had like voice. Any kind of voice.
Not at all. This game, towards the end, it was memorable to me.
And the very last boss fight, fighting Mother Brain again, but now she's like a truer form.
Yes.
And the baby.
She has arms.
Or the baby, I should say, not baby. But
well, the baby from Metroid
the hatchling,
2.
yeah, the hatchling comes to help you out.
Yeah, but the Metroid has grown.
The hatchling helps you out, and in doing so, dies.
Protecting you.
Yeah.
From Metroid.
Because she
from Mother Brain.
From Mother Brain, yeah, because I guess the Metroid kind of saw Samus as like a mother figure, a parental figure.
Yes.
Of some sort. Yeah, so that was like, oh no, like the hatchling's done, so now you really got to take out Mother Brain.
With this powerful weapon.
Yes. At the end, you have to get out of the place for like an
that was
explosion. It's always like an explosion.
Nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and you have to hurry up and get out. Yeah, that game was great.
It was.
So Metroid skipped over the N64. I believe they did want to release something, but they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So now we move over to the next handheld, which is Game Boy Advance. And you had two titles that released. You had Metroid Fusion, which was a brand new Metroid title. Amazing title, by the way. I love that game. To me, sits as high as Super Metroid.
Yes.
Like everything about that game, I can't find any flaws with it. Like it's an amazing game. The X-Parasite, how she gets contaminated with it, and then it's like part of her now. So then now when she's able to kill enemies and absorb energy throughout the game, so that adds a new aspect. I mean, there's so much going on in that game. It's amazing.
Which they consider this as Metroid 4.
That's still one of the ones I love going back to. Even now, like whether I play it on my Game Boy player or I find another way to play it, like the Wii U store. Yeah, so like there was so many ways to play the game. If you ever have a chance to play that one, for sure too. Yeah. Check that one out.
I like how the story progressed with this title, and it was a difficult game to beat.
He has a new suit as well on this one.
I like the colors of the suit.
Yeah, and it's
awesome.
I mean, the game is great. Like I said, the closest thing I can compare it to is going to be Super Metroid.
I agree.
A couple years later, they released Metroid Zero Mission, which was a remake of the original Metroid. And they added a lot of the things you could do now on the newer Metroids that you couldn't do back then, right?
Correct.
So it's almost like a brand new game.
They added map.
Upgraded graphics. I mean, everything about that game it's enjoyable because you remember the original Metroid and now you're able to play it in an upgraded fashion.
Yeah, so if you guys don't want to go to this hassle of being lost in this game, and having a difficult time playing it and having a good time, play this version.
So GameCube had two releases, and now it finally brought Metroid into 3D, right? A 3D world. It is more of like in a first-person perspective.
Yes.
So Retro Studios did a great job on these games, and it basically started a whole new saga in Metroid, because it doesn't fall under the side-scrolling, right? So it's its own thing. So Metroid Prime is its own, I guess, genre of Metroid, right? Because you have the Prime games, and you have the regular,
like its own universe.
2D. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So it's still Samus, but now it's in a 3D world. And that beginning of the game to me was amazing. Seeing the ship, the dramatic music, and then she pops out, and now it's like those graphics for the GameCube for me was amazing. And the way they were able to turn it into like a first-person type, but still make it a Metroid game I thought was great. Like they did such a great job.
And if you guys, look at gaming magazines of the top 100, normally this game is like the top 10.
Yeah, it's a great game, man.
Top 10 of all time.
The controls were fine with the GameCube controller.
Yes.
And just even when they did like the morph ball, it would go from your first person to where you can see the morph ball, and then you can move the morph. Kind of like it still kind of gives you that 2D aspect, but it's all in 3D.
Yes.
And the game was great.
It
was a great game.
Especially fighting Ridley. I'm never gonna forget that character.
Yeah,
that game.
The controls were so tight, man. I mean, they did everything right with this game.
Yeah, and not only that, but like observing this planet. Wow, like some of the stages were from ice. You could see ice stages. You could see lava stages.
The boss fights were done really well.
And they were huge.
Back then, they also had a lot of games that linked up together. So you could actually link up Metroid Prime with Fusion.
I didn't know that.
Oh, one thing I also forgot to mention on Fusion was, because we'll get into it on Prime 2. So her original suit was covered with the X-Parasite. They used surgery to get it off, right? Got her a new suit. But the X-Parasite actually took over her suit, and that's mainly the main antagonist of the game, is another version of you.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool the way they did it, too, in the cutscenes and stuff. It was really great finally getting this game in, like, 3D. So then they ended up doing a sequel, and the follow-up, now there's also, like, a light and dark Samus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that she's gonna have to deal with. And the cool part about this game too is like it's going back from light and dark. Like on the dark side, you can get real injured so easily, you know, with the power suit that she currently has when you start the game, and you kind of have to, like, it's the same thing, getting your upgrades, doing everything like that. Yeah. So at the end of the game, there is a big boss fight that I remember that was crazy, and then obviously, you know,
it is crazy.
And then Dark Samus.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a great game. Once they were done here, though, then I believe they ported over to the DS. So on the DS side, you'll see we have Metroid Prime Pinball, which was just basically a pinball game. I liked it, though. It actually came with a pack that you could put in through a Rumble feature.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Metroid Prime Hunters, which was basically bringing the Prime series over to handheld.
They actually had a demo of Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to play that game.
Yeah, and that actually came out with the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
It was announced that the 3DS was coming out, and that was like the big deal game. You know, that was coming to the new handheld that they had, right? Mm-hmm. And then Pinball came out later. Mm-hmm. Just as a, you know, just trying to sell more games, I guess.
Yeah.
Metroid. And then we went over to the Wii, and on the Wii we had Metroid Prime 3, which unfortunately I don't have, but I did get the metal tin version that has the trilogy. The only thing I really like about this was the way they added the use of the Wii remote.
Yes.
The Wiimotes.
What were your thoughts about that?
I actually thought it worked. So when I got to Metroid Prime 3 on the Wii, I didn't think I could like another control scheme from the GameCube, but man, it works so well on here to me. Like, I thought it worked well for what you were trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So the only weird part for me is playing these two games in that mode on here. Kind of throws me off a little because I'm used to the GameCube. Yeah, I'm used to the GameCube.
Yes.
But part 3, I thought they did it well for the Wii. I thought the way they did it was awesome, for me at least.
Yeah. I tried. I had an open mind, guys, for me to use the nunchuck and the controller, but man, guys, I'm old-fashioned. Just give me the controller.
Yeah, I actually liked it. It's just like I said, playing the original 2 here with the Wii controls throws me off, because 3 was built around the Wii controls, where 1 and 2 were from the GameCube. So porting them over to the Wii, now you have to use the Wii controls, was a little different. You know what I mean?
And I know that there's a lot of people that love that aspect of using the nunchuck and the controller.
Like I said, it worked well for 3. When I first got 3 and I started playing it, I was like, wow, this actually works. Like I was like, how are they going to do this with this control and the nunchuck?
Yeah.
Like, how's this even going to work? There's not so many buttons, but they did it really well.
Well, if you guys enjoyed playing Super Mario Galaxy, it was like the same concept.
It fit well more than I thought. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, on Metroid Prime 2 is when they introduced the 4-player aspect. You know, like playing against each other. Wow. So that was something new that they added. And then obviously the other Wii title that they added was Metroid Other M, which was made by Tecmo.
Yes.
I guess came and helped out, which I was really hoping it would be a lot better. It's not the best Metroid title, but if you're a fan, obviously you want to try it out, right? So I did beat that game as well. Yeah.
I like the 2D version.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible.
It was just the storyline that people didn't enjoy.
The storyline was a little off, a little weird, not what we were expecting.
Like a love.
Yeah, and then the fighting was different. They added new fighting mechanics that we weren't used to. I mean, overall, it's a game I'll revisit from time to time, but it's not one of like my favorites. So moving over to the 3DS, it took a while, but then they ended up coming out with Metroid Prime Federation Force. It's in the Metroid universe. It's not using Samus. It's a multiplayer game. You can't play multiplayer or single.
Okay.
it's not terrible, but it's just not, where's Samus at? That's
Yeah.
the biggest thing. Like, where's Samus? Why isn't it like a full Metroid title? So I could see people, getting upset about that.
Mhm.
But then they did finally release that game,
Yes.
Metroid Samus Returns, which is a remake of the second game.
Of Metroid 2. So, Billy, I believe a fan created a remake of Metroid 2. So Nintendo shut that down, and they had plans to also release
their own.
Yeah.
There are some fan-made games out there. I've heard are very well put together.
It was good game.
But they all fall under that version, like the Super Nintendo version.
Because you have a bootleg one, right?
Well, that's what I mean. They fall under. No, I'm saying the fan-made ones
Oh, okay.
are like another whole story.
Yes.
But the
okay.
graphics and everything are based in the Super Metroid world.
Got it.
And I heard they're very good titles, but I haven't never played them.
I love that game.
Yeah, that game's really good.
I completed it at 100%, just like we did here in the past, my brother and I.
Yeah.
And it's something that they did a great job on that game, and I do recommend you guys to play that game.
Yeah, and then when they released that, they also released a 3DS XL.
Like at the same time,
Samus
right?
version, yeah.
Yeah.
So I purchased both of those. I had to, man.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a Metroid fan.
Me too.
The system is beautiful.
It
It's
is.
a beautiful system. It mimics her suit colors, so it's a really nice system. With the 3DS, you know how you can do the background. So
Yes.
actually, when I open it up, turn it on, it has a Metroid background.
hmm
So I try to keep that with all my different 3DS systems.
But what I like about what Nintendo did with this character, with Samus, that if an enemy is approaching you, you could actually push the
Like
wire.
a counter.
Yes.
Yeah, that was something new they added to this version. That's what I'm saying. It's like a whole remade version of 2. Like completely remade from the ground up.
Yes.
And then they added new things. I mean, like in the Game Boy version, obviously you couldn't aim, but here you can, right?
Like a 360.
Yeah, you could aim wherever you're trying
Yeah.
to shoot. You also, like you said, added the counter move,
Yes.
which added a whole new gameplay mechanic
It's
to the
awesome,
game.
guys. It's awesome.
So yeah, I mean the game is great. Like if you haven't tried that game out, like if you don't want to try and track down the Game Boy version, I mean by all means try Samus Returns. It's a wonderful game for the
It
3DS.
is.
And I know the 3DS library, like 3DS is kind of phasing out already. So get it while you can.
Hopefully
like,
Nintendo could port that game into the Switch so that you guys will be able to
yeah,
play it.
eventually. I mean, dude, everybody's still been waiting for GameCube to port over, and they still haven't.
Me
done
too.
that. Which honestly, I mean, I really don't care because I have most of the GameCube games libraries that I love, and I like playing it on the original anyway. So I mean, I really could care less if they bring it to Switch.
Yeah.
I like still having the original hardware, playing it on the original
Regular controller.
Yeah, and that controller, yeah. Which I mean, technically they could bring it to the Switch because you have those GameCube controllers. Remember that came out for like Super Smash Bros.
Yes.
It wouldn't be hard to play these games on the Switch with those controllers, but I don't know why they haven't done it yet. But a lot of people are owning them. I don't care because I have them. No offense. So moving forward, we come to the Switch version. Finally, another release. We've been waiting on another Metroid game, and then boom, they dropped Metroid Dread. I still remember seeing the trailer, and I was like, wow, like finally another Metroid title.
It took many years for them to develop this game.
So this one goes back to the 2D style. Like I said, it gets away from Prime, and we go back to the 2D style.
Which was the last game that was made
Exactly.
here.
So this is Metroid 5,
Mhm.
right? This took a lot of what they did in that game, like you have the counters, you have all that stuff, but it adds a whole new element now. Having to run, now you're having to run away.
Mm.
Hey guys, sorry, I had to stop real quick because I forgot to bring out the Metroid Dread Amiibo
set.
figures. This is the older set that goes along with Metroid Samus Returns. So going into Metroid Dread, I wanted to go ahead and bring out the Amiibo figures for that. So, like I was saying, in this game you're running from the Emmys, E-M-M-I. So that adds a whole new aspect.
It does.
So now it's more like you're being tracked down versus you tracking down the enemies. And unfortunately they're like indestructible. You can't shoot them with anything. There's
Your
nothing.
weapons won't matter
Yeah.
until you get this specialized, powerful weapons.
Exactly, yeah. Now I'm still playing this. Did you already complete?
I completed it, guys. I
Okay,
did.
so how was it?
It was amazing. It took me about 10 hours to complete the game,
Okay.
but in the end, it's worth playing it.
Okay, I'll definitely have to keep working
Yeah,
on this
please,
one
Billy.
then.
Please.
I don't remember what the actual amiibo figures do for the game just yet. Looking at the back of the box, it looks like the Samus figure will refill your energy once per day, and you'll get a bonus energy tank. And the ME will replenish missiles once a day, and you'll get a bonus missile tank. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
I just didn't open it because I didn't want to.
I understand.
Same thing with these. I didn't want to open these as well. But I mean, all these amiibo figures always unlock something cool in the game. Next game on the list, though, is Metroid Prime 4, which we still have no idea when that's coming out. There was a big delay, right?
Yeah, Nintendo, take your time, Nintendo.
Yeah, I want a great game. So believe
Take
me,
your time, Nintendo. Not a problem.
But I know that they had it going one direction, and then they decided like midpoint to be like, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and scrap it.
Yeah.
Restart, bring retro back in.
Which is unheard of.
Yeah.
It's unheard of for.
So it's been in development for quite a while. I mean, the Switch has been out for a while. They've wanted to put a Metroid game out. It's just all we got was like an intro showing the 4 and then the Metroid sign and had the music. That's about the most we've gotten. So
I'm okay for them to take their time.
Yeah, that's still in development. Obviously, when that game comes out, we'll probably go ahead and do an unboxing, especially if they come out with some kind of collector's edition. And maybe we'll also do a game review
Of
once it
course.
comes out.
Okay.
But let's not forget Metroid 3.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. My fault. My fault. I didn't bring it with me, guys. We actually did have Metroid Prime 3, which you mentioned that you like the controlling.
Yes, that's when they changed the controls over to like the Wii remote motion control, but it worked. The only thing that I thought was weird for me was on the Trilogy set that came out on the Wii, they changed the controls to meet that, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't feel the same. Like I was so used to the GameCube controllers for, Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2. Then I get to Metroid Prime 3, and now they have the the Wii remote and the nunchuck, but it fits. It works so well.
Yeah.
I thought it did. I know you said you.
I wasn't a big fan. Like I mentioned, I was open-minded. This game was the most anticipated game for me as being a huge Metroid fan, and I was truly disappointed, guys, with the controller. My thoughts
In your
about
opinion,
that.
yeah.
My thoughts.
Well, yeah, in my opinion, I liked it a lot.
I understand.
I thought the controls, for me, they fit better than I thought they were. Because I was like, how's this going to work?
Yes.
You got one remote with a button on the back, the control pad on the front, 2 other buttons. And like, there's not a lot of stuff going on.
That's it?
Then you hook up the nunchuck, you have 1 joystick and 2 buttons. And I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. But the way they did it, like, when the HUD would come up and you could point to it, I'm like, oh, okay, I see how that works. Just little stuff. When you would switch over to missiles, it worked really well. I just the way they put it together, I think they did really well. Now, I don't know if anybody else will agree. Like you said, it didn't feel good, natural to you.
It did not. As you guys could see, all these strategy guides in the past, I used a regular controller. But again, I'm glad that you like the controlling of the Wii version. But I just hope that whenever they do, hopefully remake the trilogy into the Nintendo Switch, I hope that they could use the Pro Controller.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's the route they're going to take. I'm sure they're probably going to release it. There's been so much talk about it. I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yes.
Besides doing YouTube, I watch a lot. And the trilogy, they keep talking about coming out on the Switch.
I hope so.
Now, my question was are they going to do both the Pro Controller and are they going to allow motion control like they did with Zelda Skyward Sword when it came out?
What? That's a great point you're bringing. And you know what? It makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, are they going to give players both options? They did that with Skyward Sword.
Yes.
You could use the controllers, which I did buy the Zelda Skyward Sword Joy-Cons.
Yes.
Right? But they also gave you the option of using the Pro Controller. So that's what I'm wondering, if that does come out in a remastered HD, are they going to allow both? It would be nice. I'm sure that's going to take a lot of work on their part, but it would be nice for the players to be able to, have that choice.
I also brought some of my old strategy guides, the games that I've played in the past, due to the fact, Billy, that I work a lot, and so I don't have time to find unlocking stages or weapons or secrets. So I do happen to use strategy guides so that I could beat the game and having a wonderful experience that I was able to beat the games and to unlock every single game 100%. Because I was so deep into trying to uncover
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Because that's how much of a big fan I am.
But who uses strategy guides? I mean, strategy guides? That's like a tree. Those are a bunch of trees that you just killed.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No, I mean,
I was gonna say, so Billy D, have you ever used it?
okay, so I do like strategy guides.
Yeah.
I do have, I think, some of these strategy guides. The only thing now is with technology, with the internet, not like back in the day, you are able to access some walkthroughs, say on YouTube, say maybe online. Somebody does have something built showing you all the controls, how the game works. Basically, an online strategy guide, right? But it is nice to have these actual, physical copies of strategy guides to just kind of flip through instead of looking on your phone.
Yeah, you're right. And just the artwork itself is gorgeous.
Yeah, they do add some more things here than you would get, if you did like the online or if you did the YouTube. You're not going to get all those little special things that they put in, So it's nice to have.
Some of them have posters and some of them may have like secrets that you may not even have known without the strategy guide.
I have used them before. Okay, and now we're going to cut right back to the previous video. Yeah, I hope you like this retrospect. We didn't get to a lot of detail because I didn't really want to make a very large video. But if you want something more in depth with every game, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. We can definitely do that.
Not a problem on that aspect as well.
Don't forget, if you haven't seen the unboxing of the Metroid Dread Limited Edition, go ahead and check it out and let me know what you think. I actually like this box set that I got. Did you get one?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, so this was actually cool to open up and the cool little things that they had in it. Not for a bad price either. Don't forget to show the channel some love. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified of new videos. And I guess we'll catch you guys next time. Later.